It's the Mountaintop Experiences series. We're talking about Jesus on the mountaintop. Last week we talked about Jesus preaching to the multitudes and we covered the Beatitudes. This week we're going to shift a little bit. We're going to talk about the temptation of Jesus. Most of you are familiar with this story. It's covered in Matthew 4, verses 1 through 11. That's where Jesus is arguing with Satan, and I believe they have three separate arguments, but we're only going to focus on the one where Jesus is being tempted by the devil on a high mountain. So I'm going to start by reading you Matthew chapter 4, verses 8 through 11. It says, "Again, the devil took him to a very high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world and their glory. 'All this I will give you,' he said, 'if you will fall down and worship me.' 'Away from me, Satan,' Jesus told him, 'for it is written, worship the Lord Yahweh, your God, and serve him only.' Then the devil left him, and angels came and ministered to him." It's interesting to note that Jesus did not have an intellectual debate with the devil. He did not say, "These kingdoms don't belong to you," or something like, "My Father in heaven is the originator and owner of the earthly realm." Rather, Jesus preached a sermon to the devil and referenced Deuteronomy 6:13, which says, "You shall fear Yahweh your God, and you shall serve him and shall swear by his name." Deuteronomy is talking about how the children of Israel went into the land and took it over and what they should do when they arrived there. So that's an instruction to them, and Jesus reached all the way back there to give an instruction to the devil and say, this is still God's plan. Worship Yahweh. Let's look at the result of Jesus' encounter with the devil on the mountaintop. He overcame the temptation of the devil. Instead of receiving something from Satan, Jesus received a ministry from the angels. This is the beginning of his official ministry here on earth, when he was officially recognized as being an adult 30 years or more who could go and actually do ministry. Obviously, he was doing ministry of sorts before that, but this is the official start. Let's look at a similar passage in Luke chapter 4, verses 5 through 8, which says, "Then the devil led him up to a high place and showed him in an instant all the kingdoms of the world. 'I will give you authority over all these kingdoms and all their glory,' he said, 'for it has been relinquished to me, and I can give it to anyone I wish. So if you worship me, it will all be yours.' But Jesus answered, 'It is written, worship the Lord Yahweh, your God, and serve him only.'" So here the devil's being a little tricky. You know how he can be. He's going to promise you everything. All you got to do is kneel down and worship him. I don't think when you're done worshiping, he's going to fulfill his promise. I just don't think it's going to happen. Let's look at some differences in the language between Matthew's account and Luke's account. Matthew called it a very high mountain, but Luke called it a high place. I believe this could be a reference to Deuteronomy chapter 12, verse 2, which says, "You shall surely destroy all the places in which the nations that you shall dispossess serve their gods, on the high mountains and on the hills and under every green tree." In ancient times, where were they worshiping? Under a big green tree where everybody could have shade. They went to the top of a high mountain where you could see everything. They went to any high hill or high place. That's where they worshiped, and that's where people congregated and gathered, just like they gathered to hear Jesus preach, as we saw last week. So the devil took Jesus to a place where he was worshiped and asked Jesus to partake in the festivities. If you want to know more about those types of things, you can check out my dad's sermon from last week on our YouTube page at McKinney Ministries. But notice Luke has the devil saying this, "I will give you authority over all these kingdoms and all their glory. This is exactly what John wrote that Jesus was given by God in John 13:3. It says, Jesus knew that the Father had given him authority over everything and that he had come from God and would return to God. So here's Jesus. He's on earth. He's doing his earthly ministry. He already knew that he was going to be possessor of the kingdoms. But it wasn't going to come through the devil. It was going to come through his service to Yahweh. It was the Father who ultimately had the power to give Jesus authority over everything. Remember, every knee shall bow at the greatest name which was given to Jesus. He has all authority in heaven and on earth. Luke also has the devil saying, for it has been relinquished to me, and I can give it to anyone I wish. This reminds me of the serpent when he deceived Adam and Eve in the garden. The serpent offered them to partake from the tree where he divides. That is, he divides between the good and the evil. He told them a tall tale. He said, you can be like God if you eat, drink, and party with me. We will get in touch with the true God by unlocking new understanding within your mind. This good versus evil is the key. But remember that Adam and Eve were already created in the image and likeness of their Father God. They did not need the division that the serpent had to offer. They just needed to understand their true identity. Some of us have forgotten our true identity. We are created by God for his pleasure. We are his workmanship. We are his children. We are bone of his bone and we are flesh of his flesh. We are one with him. Rejoice today that your name is written in the Lamb's book of life. No more lies from the devil. No more temptation from Satan. Join Jesus on the mountaintop today and find refreshment from the heavenly angels. Okay, so I'm going to say a few words about my mother on Mother's Day. She is a heavenly angel. And if you know her, you know that's true. She's loved and adored by everyone who meets her. And she has a warm, open spirit. And she makes you want to be her mom. Throughout our lives, our friends have all said, wow, your mom is so great. She's amazing. I wish she was my mom. And so she's played that role to a number of our friends. And we feel like they are part of our family. We send love and blessings to all of our spiritual siblings out there. Our parents have been spiritual parents to countless people, both here in the United States and abroad. We love you. We invite you into our family. We invite you into the warm embrace of the mother. My mom has always been gracious towards me, even when I was mean towards her when I was a kid. You know, you get a little attitude. Mom's got to discipline you, trying to teach you how to do the right thing. She's always done it gently and with a sweet spirit. And she's always encouraged me throughout life and coached me and taught me the right things to do and how to navigate through difficult situations. She's always been a good counselor. And so I want to say today, I love my mom. Mother Deborah, you're wonderful. You're an angel. That's not the end of the series, but that concludes my message today about Jesus' temptation, specifically where he was on the mountaintop being tempted. We're in the series, Jesus on the Mountaintop, and we're talking about mountaintop experiences. We're going to see you guys again next week at 1:30. Much love, and give your mother a big hug and kiss today.